with Beşiktaş. The game comes just 6 months after Kevin Spate and Christopher Loftus were stabbed to death in the city. Harry is in Istanbul.
Well, it's certainly a journey now that the club nor its fans wanted to make at such an early stage, but Leeds United are back in Istanbul. Now, let's be honest, this is still a very painful experience, but there is a feeling that perhaps this is the time to try and move on. Arrangements are now underway to make sure that tomorrow night's game against Beşiktaş goes ahead without any problems whatsoever, on or off the field. Football in Turkey, not a pretty sight. This the latest scar on the face of football no one wants to see. Beşiktaş against Trabzon just 3 days ago. A pitched battle, hardly the right welcome for Leeds United. And yet the mood here is conciliatory. The president of Beşiktaş at pains to welcome Leeds.
Then there will be no problems. I'm quite confident on that. The football will win. I think we have a big mission here between Leeds and Beşiktaş to prove to the whole European community about the gentleness of our fans. I think we have done that in Leeds, and I think we will do that also in Istanbul. And I think the football will win on Wednesday.
The Leeds team left Yorkshire this morning. Outwardly, the professional air was on display. Inwardly, who knows what the players were really feeling?
We don't think about what happened, you can't do that. So, sad thing what happened, but yeah, life goes on, and I don't think it will happen again.
But football is unforgiving. The scenes at Istanbul airport confirming that the sport has lost sight of reality. United's reception from the media was frantic, over the top.
I hope the result, and only time will tell whether the trip will be very good, but we've no fear coming back to Istanbul. Just hope we can play better and everybody has a good time. In the safe top. All the best. Thank you.
When the official fans come tomorrow, they can expect some close scrutiny, but that's all. For the uninvited, though, the message is starker.
If you're not part of the official Leeds United trip, you will be not allowed access, first of all, to Istanbul. Should you make your way here by any other means, again, you will be detained and you will be deported. And the Turkish police are extremely positive about this.
But for all of this, Istanbul, 6 months on, is more welcoming. It, too, needs to forget and offer the hand of friendship. There'll be no problems, as far as
I don't think there will be any problem. I don't think so.
And if Leeds United fans came here, they get a good price?
Unfortunately.
A good deal here?
Yeah. Cheaper than Tesco.
Tomorrow, a game of football takes place. That's all. But the eyes of the world, rightly or wrongly, will be focused on an ordinary stadium in an extraordinary city. I'm sure everyone hopes that common sense will prevail. Well, tomorrow we'll be reporting again here from Istanbul when the handful of Leeds United fans arrive. But for now, it's back to the studio.
Okay, Harry, now this
Moments for Leeds officials even before the arrival of the club's fans. Flight delays meant their arrival at the same time as Galatasaray's players were coming in from Glasgow. The presence of both groups at the airport meant more massed media ranks awaiting the small band who'd made the trip from West Yorkshire. Chairman Peter Ridsdale was watching on, anxious to ensure that everything went smoothly.
Everybody's done very well, everybody's safe and secure. They're going to have a great evening. As I say, let's just hope we get a result, and let's just hope we're safe and sound back in Leeds tomorrow.
Despite the small numbers of Leeds fans involved, the security operation surrounding this game has been enormous. Beşiktaş are also hoping for a trouble-free evening.
I think the relationship is restored, so it will be a normal game with no parts feeling this inferiority.
It's easy to forget that all this is about a game of football, and one that Leeds really want to win. They'll be without the suspended Alan Smith and the injured Nigel Martin, so Paul Robinson's performance could be vital to Leeds' ambitions.
I hope he copes well, but only time will tell on that one. I think eventually he will take over from Nigel Martin at this club. And but let's not kid ourselves. I think he's got the potential, but only time will tell with this experience.
Taksim Square is the location that will always occupy a black page in the history of Leeds United Football Club. A peaceful evening this evening will not erase the memory of that night 6 months ago, but it will at least go some way to rebuilding bridges between these two footballing nations. Rinlaw, Sky Sports in Istanbul.
Between Leeds and Beşiktaş, it follows the deaths of 2 Leeds fans during the club's last visit to the Turkish capital in April. This time, supporters are being given a constant police escort. Our sports correspondent Paul Newman is in Istanbul. Paul, the police don't want to take any chances then tonight?
Well, absolutely not. There's a determination on behalf of the authorities both here and, of course, with the cooperation of Leeds United to prevent any possibility or repeat of any violence between the rival supporters. And certainly what we've seen today is a fairly elaborate operation with visiting fans. The Leeds United supporters, some 200 or so, only arrived at the airport here in Istanbul a couple of hours ago. Initially it was thought some 500 would travel, but only 200 in the end were allocated tickets. There was then something of a lengthy convoy to bring the supporters towards the ground, but that was via a boat trip, and they've all taken a trip down the Bosphorus here before arriving at the stadium. They're only due to arrive in the next 15 or 20 minutes or so, because of course it's still more than an hour before kick-off. But that determination, I think, to keep the supporters separated, to remove even the possibility of any kind of trouble.
Paul Newman in Istanbul, thanks for joining us.
Tash on the shores of the Bosphorus, just about in the middle of the city of Istanbul, where Leeds United in about an hour's time will play Beşiktaş in a very important European Champions League game. Of course, this has very painful memories for them the last time they were in the city. And coming up, we've got the story of how the Leeds fans have been treated, welcomed and received here. But first, let's have the main news of the day with Peter and Claire back in the studios in Leeds. 1 hour or so away. But you know, within the Leeds United club, supporters, fans, everywhere, there is a feeling that all this has happened a little bit too quickly, because the events of Taksim Square are too much in the minds of everybody. It was just 6 short months ago. Being a Leeds United supporter attracts notoriety and a police presence which far outnumbered them. On arrival at Istanbul, a cruise on the Bosphorus awaited, a few hours ahead of the match. As invitations go, it was one they couldn't refuse.
We're English. Football fans have no rights. It's what you expect, really. You know, I think it's a good idea keeping us away, and the boat trip's just going to take us down to the ground. So, you know, we're only here for a few hours.
These are not troublemakers. They are the official supporters club, and yet the policing suggested they were very different. The needs of the few outweighed by the many police. By land, sea and air, their movements have been monitored, filmed and analysed. The police here in Turkey are claiming that this is a great success. After the debacle of 6 months ago and the heavy price paid, it needed to be. You know, one of the biggest problems in football is of tickets falling into the wrong hands, and here in Turkey there is a loophole. This is a local supermarket, and if I say it's as easy as that to buy a ticket, I'm not exaggerating. But here, unlike back home, there are still opportunities available for potential bother from the rogue supporter. And there it is. No one asked me where I was from, why I wanted it, I suppose, and who I was supporting. But interesting enough, this is the ticket. And guess how much it cost? £4. Leeds are lucky. The manager is a decent person and their chairman is a rare breed. A man at one with the club's supporters and deeply sensitive about what is still a scar on the club's history.
Clearly none of us wanted to come back to Istanbul this quickly. The draw was made, we have to be here. So far the Beşiktaş directors and the president have been outstanding in their welcome, not only here in Istanbul but also how they acted at Elland Road. So what we have to do is to use this as an opportunity to look forward.
Thankfully, most of the newspaper reports here in Istanbul have been about building bridges between the two countries in soccer terms. And football, and it's only a game after all, is thankfully taking the headlines.
Well, Harry, kick-off is just an hour away now. What's the atmosphere at the moment? You're in the stadium.
Well, there's certainly plenty of atmosphere building up, but I think generally speaking, within the city of Istanbul, there's certainly been a more conciliatory attitude towards football generally and Leeds United in particular. And I think they want to try, if they possibly can, to put behind them the very, very unfortunate events of 6 months ago and see if they can build some kind of bridges in soccer terms between the two countries.
Now, Harry, we saw you there walk into a supermarket of all places and go and buy a ticket for £4 for tonight's game. How worrying is that?
Well, it is concerning because this was bought at a local supermarket, as you just said, and it only cost just a few quid. The point about it is that if, I suppose, any rogue supporters wanted to come along, all they had to do was go to a supermarket and buy that over the counter. No questions were asked. That, to me, is rather worrying, and that is something that would not happen back in the UK, and I think it's something that the police over here should have a close look at as well.
Harry, thanks for joining us tonight.